Now, you may or may not be surprised by this, but I really don't own a lot of guns. I see guns as a tool, and really there's only so many tools you need in the gun toolbox. I'm kind of a collector, but mostly if a gun doesn't serve a purpose as a tool, I usually get rid of it. I'll trade it for something that will serve as a purpose for a tool. So a lot of people are surprised I don't own a lot of guns. Now, with that being said, all those guns fit in a tool, a niche, so to say. So most of the guns that I review, I borrow from friends, or gun stores will loan me guns, or I've worked out some deals with some stores where I'll buy a gun for a reasonable price and they'll give me a reasonable trade because they know I'm just going to keep bringing them back to trade, that sort of thing. And that's usually how I pull it off as far as doing gun reviews. I don't just buy guns and keep them. All the reviews I've done are not in my collection, if that makes sense. And every now and then there's a gun that I really, really want. And this particular gun does fit a niche. It's a carry gun, and that's my favorite niche. And I have a few guns that fit in that niche, primarily because it depends on what I'm wearing, depends on what the weather is, depends on where I'm going. There's certain guns that I would rather have if I go into a very dangerous neighborhood versus certain guns that I have if I'm feeling very safe, that sort of thing. And it was way back in 2019 when this gun first came out, and I was very, very excited about it. And honestly, so was the rest of the world. And the gun I'm talking about was the original old school Hudson H9. That is not the gun I'm interested in. I just got a little story to do, backstory here. But the Hudson H9 intrigued the heck out of me. I was very interested in it. I saw the physical benefits of it because ultimately what they've done, or what they did, was they took kind of a 1911 grip frame with a double stack 9mm, put the recoil spring way below the barrel to where the recoil's straight into this part of your thumb, which is the best spot. It prevents muzzle flip. It just makes you go back instead of flipping, so you can stay on target significantly easier. And when you combine all those things and you throw in a 1911 trigger into the equation, what? Love this gun. It's like they took all handguns up a whole new level, like they just advanced handgun technology. And when I interviewed them, it was actually my biggest video at SHOT Show that year. I think it did about 750,000 views in just a few weeks. The world was interested. And when I interviewed the manufacturer, the couple, their last name was Hudson, they told me that it'd be released in second quarter. And then second quarter came, and then I saw them at the NRA convention that year because went back to see, I knew they'd have a booth there. Hey, what's up? And they communicated that there was one part that was not, that somebody else was manufacturing for them, and it just wasn't to their liking. So until everything is perfect, they're waiting to release it. And that release date, second quarter came, third quarter came. And by the time the fourth quarter came of that year, the hype was down, the mojo was down. Like there was a lot of hype on that gun, and then it just went away because nobody can get their hands on it. It really was around Christmas time and the following January that it really was fully released and you can actually find it in stores. And I just think that the mojo was lost. And then when I saw them at SHOT Show in 2020, they had come up with a new gun that was pretty much the same gun, but just all metal. And I kind of waited for a bit to see, what's the public gonna think? Because they were pretty pricey. They were a little over $1,000, which is still pretty pricey. It was definitely pricey back then. And I waited to see what the public thought, and then they went out of business. And I believe a lot of financial woes were there. I could tell you that they were doing everything first class. You could see it in their product, you could see it in their booth, you could see it in the videos they made. And I think they spent a small fortune and unfortunately missed the hype part of the payback. And and they went out of business. So I'm not going to buy a gun from somebody that was only open for a year, and we don't really, what do you do with it if something happens? So I just stopped thinking about that gun. Then, of course, earlier this year, Daniel Defense introduces it in January as the Daniel Defense H9, and it quickly grabbed my attention again. However, like the first time, I was going to wait a bit. I was going to see, well, what's this gun going to do? Because it's still, like, since 2019, I've desired to carry this gun. It's been the gun I've been after. And here's what I think about Daniel Defense doing it. Number one, they're a reputable company and make high quality firearms. So of course, this is gonna take the security aspect of trusting it, having a company you can send it back to if you have issues, having a company that'll be there in a decade or so, ideally. They don't show any financial hardships, that's for sure. They look like a solid company that only comes out with solid firearms that people desire so much that they're usually at a pretty darn high price point as well. And now what you have is, I could say the differences between the Hudson H9 and the Daniel Defense 9, and I don't know why they did this, but they raised the spring up just a little bit. I don't know. I've not shot the Daniel Defense H9, but man, I loved shooting the Hudson H9. It was incredible. It's got a 4-inch barrel. Daniel Defense also did a cutout, so you put a red dot on it. So now that's where I am. I'm ready. This is the gun I'm after. They're pretty easy to get. I just got, it's still a little out of my price range, but I'm getting closer. But I believe once Christmas is said and done and the kind of smoke clears from that, this is the gun I'm after. This is the one gun. If I could buy one gun right now, it's the Daniel Defense H9. So there you go. I'd be curious, what's the one gun you would buy right now if you could? Put that below. Any thoughts or insight on any of this, definitely put that below as well. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.